Off in Kansas City last night with the Lions making 2 first-round picks.
And the Lions raised some eyebrows by trading down, then drafting running back Jahmyr Gibbs, 12th overall. Then later in the first, they take linebacker Jack Campbell, 18th, a guy many projected as a second-round talent.
Joining us now to sort it all out are Jeff Lesson from WWJ News Radio 950 and former Lions defensive lineman MARC Spindler. Thank you both for joining us. Jeff, I'll start with you. What do you make of last night's chess moves, or do they constitute? Can they qualify as a chess move?
I'm not sure they constitute chess moves, Shana, but let's just say I'm a little underwhelmed, maybe more than a little. You had a chance to take at number 6 a generational player, a run stopper. They had one of the worst run defenses in the NFL for the last several years, right at the bottom a couple years ago, I think 29th against the run last year. They had a chance to solve that by taking Jalen Carter at number 6 from Georgia. And because, we're speculating now, because of some off-field issues he had, he pled guilty to a misdemeanor. That was a serious accident where someone actually died, but it wasn't his fault, the death. And, you know, he was said to be maybe not in the best of shape when he came to workouts. But by most accounts, he was the most talented player in the draft. And last I checked, the NFL is not made up of all choir boys, right? I mean, you can take a chance. And when you got a chance to stop the run like they had, I think they whiffed.
Mark, what are your initial impressions here when you look at what the Lions did so far in the first round? I mean, look, they have so many issues on defense. As Jeff mentioned, their worst defense in the NFL last year.
I think if you give them a grade, it's a C+. It's not necessarily the picks that they chose. It's where they took them at. When you put yourself in a position to move back and gain additional picks, you want to make sure you get the right people. But I agree with Jeff. When you pick 6, right, you have an opportunity to get a generational talented type of player like Jalen Carter was, and you hope not to pick there too often. You have to take the opportunity to take that young man. I think, you know, the picks are going to work out. They're going to play. They're going to play right away. But I just don't know if – I think you could have got him later in the draft. You could have got him later in the round. You could have moved back, and you could have maybe to run him back at 18. You know, then you could have taken someone else at 12. But, you know, there are 2 guys that will come in, they'll play, and they will contribute early.
Let's talk a little bit more about those picks, Gibbs and Campbell. What do you expect of them? What should we make of these 2 players?
Well, first, you can really speculate, and you can see where Dan Campbell, the head coach's mindset is. When you now have, you know, what I would call a thunder and lightning type of running backs in your backfield, he's going to want to try to control you know, the momentum of the game with a more methodical type of offense, which, you know, this is who Dan Campbell is. From the defensive side of the ball, when you look at the linebacker that they took, he's a guy that reminds me. I think he's more rangier than a Chris Spielman. Might not be as good as Chris Spielman. This league is completely different than a Chris Spielman type of a linebacker. But even when you're in those type of breadths, or a Luke Kuechly, if you can be that good but not that healthy, again, they're going to be 2 players that are going to play. They're going to contribute. And I think when it's all said and done, Lions fans will like what they have done. But if you have a guy like Jalen Carter go and be the rookie defensive rookie of the year, you're going to always question, you know, that could have been our guy.
Jeff, this is a passing league, right? And now Dan Campbell, as we sit here today, has 3 running backs. He now have Gibbs, David Montgomery, who they brought in from Chicago, and DeAndre Swift, who they drafted in the second round just a few years ago. How do you play all these guys, or do you really believe at the end of the day Swift is going to be traded here?
I do, and maybe before the end of this day. There was talk really from Brad Holmes last night after he made his picks about the future of DeAndre Swift, and he said, well, he's kind of said he's here, but he said for now. So, yeah, and the line's been fielding calls all day about him, but to your point, a running back and even a linebacker these days, given it's a passing league, kind of considered luxury picks. And maybe those assets could have better been spent elsewhere and stopping the run right on the D-line with a generational player.
But it is the mindset. I'm telling you, this is the mindset of Dan Campbell. When you see these type of players, even the linebacker, although he's on the other side of the field, this mindset is more of a methodical, balanced team that wants to control the ball on both sides. Yes, there's no doubt. This is a passing league, and it's going to be interesting. But I think Dan Campbell feels his strength in his defense will be in his offense, you know, methodically moving the ball down the field, keeping the defense off the field until he gets all the pieces that he needs. But I think the balance of the team is going to be the strength of this team.
Now, we do have to wrap up here in a moment, but just out of my own curiosity, maybe my own ignorance, how much sway does Dan Campbell have over these decisions? Is it Dan's making the call, or is it the organization taking his thoughts into account?
I think
a team effort?
It's no doubt. It's a really good question. I think it's about the culture that Dan Campbell has brought. And when you look at the two players that they just took, that kind of fits really the culture of not necessarily Dan Campbell, because the culture is now that of the Detroit Lions. And that's more or less your blue collar, pack your lunchbox, let's go to work, and let our actions speak so loudly they drown out your words. So I think it's just a cultural decision that was made, and they feel good about it.
And I definitely feel that Dan Campbell had some influence, to your point, Shane. How much? Who knows how much? Who knows how much Chris Spielman has, who's in there as well. But in terms of a running back where they took him and a linebacker, I just disagree. They both could be fine players in the NFL. But in terms of the Lions' needs and what was available in Jalen Carter, I think they whiffed.
Jeff, Mark, thank you guys so much. Lions
Thank
with
you.
three picks in the second round tonight.
Still ahead, the assault of a young man at the Wayne County